Hello, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. I hope that there's something within this video that is a benefit to you or somebody that you know, or there is some information in it that can benefit you. Please like, subscribe, and share this with anybody that you might think might possibly benefit from it. I'm going to go ahead and start with back it up a little bit from the last video, as again, this is kind of part two, and then it'll go ahead and go forward. So let's go ahead and get started.
Not increasing taxes. Now, part of the problem is I had hoped, I hadn't planned on, although I kind of anticipated.
I was going to say, because when you cut taxes, it's more of when you're in a, see, this is why government accounting and your accounting are two different things. In government accounting, I guess they're taking the amount of money that they're not charging you and saying, well, since we're not getting, we'd cause tax cuts and reduce taxes by this much, our revenues is reduced this much, so our spending amount is going to increase by trillions of dollars because we're having less revenue come in to cover our spending. His doublespeak, man, it confuses me.
Anticipated might happen. I hadn't planned on the 178-mile top winds, hurricanes going to Louisiana.
In other words, he's saying, I haven't planned for the natural disasters, which also means more spending.
And 20 inches of rain in New York and New Jersey, and an area as big as the state of New Jersey burning down in the west. And so what I had hoped I would be doing, I'd do what I did in the campaign. I'd be out making the case about what my plan contained.
Which we have no idea other than lots of spending, forcing people to get the, solar panels. Oh, but here you get you get some tax breaks if you install solar panels on your buildings, which is currently, that's currently the way things work. You get some tax cut, you get an amount off your taxes for installing solar panels on your home. Great. But his mandate is about to mandate that everybody do this. Oh, and as a result of doing this, you can take less money off taxes. This is not good.
And it's been very much curtailed by a whole range of things. And so I think that it's understandable. I think it's understandable, people being frustrated. I think they're frustrated as well by the fact that not just members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, frustrated by, I thought this was going to be better.
I thought it was 15 days to stop the spread. And then we'd go back to life as normal. And that has been and as he's saying here, will never happen.
Everything was working out. We were moving along on COVID-19, and now we have all these people who refuse to get a shot.
Again, as I said, he keeps saying that you're refusing to do it, and it's not that. It's again medical reason, religious. Let's go into religious reasons why people wouldn't want to get this shot. Because it's RNA. Where does RNA come from? The RNA research was started from DNA resequencing research. Yeah, there's some real close ties to that. But I'm not a medical doctor. Anyways. And if you go back, well, when you're looking at the DNA resequencing stuff, where did that research come from? It came from stem cell research. Where does stem cell research come from? You get stem cell from one place. Well, Americans, we tend to get stem cells from one place only. On human stem cells. That's from abortion, aborted baby fetuses. And of course, we have a mandate that, and I have to check because this is Saturday, they're filming this. It was yesterday that they put in the mandate we're voting on whether they would have up to birth abortion. So now we're into child sacrifice. But anyways, I digress. So it comes from stem cells research based on aborted baby fetuses. That's where you get the vaccine right now that currently take. Personally, again, that is causing me really hard religious questions as regards to whether I want to even take this vaccine. So there are tons of reasons why people would refuse. Because last I checked, freedom of religion was a number one thing in this. Do no harm.
And now look at the people dying. Large numbers of people dying.
36,000 people a day. I don't know. What are the numbers of people dying? People die all the time. We have been. But as far as the numbers of people dying from COVID, the numbers are way down, even from the CDC. Could have pulled up the stats to show you as well that even according to the CDC, the numbers of people dying is down. So we're back again. This is the third time I can think of definitely where there's direct fear mongering from the White House to the American people, where the U.S. or the White House is telling the American people, be afraid of these unvaccinated people, be afraid of them because they could get you sick and you're going to die from these people. Fear mongering. I watch people and I see videos of people who are so terrified of people without masks who might walk too close. It's getting to the point where I'm wondering if I'm going to be attacked. You already get people yelling at you if you go in unmasked in place. This is the White House's doing. This is Democrats' own doing, intentionally stirring up segregation and hatred within the American people against its own people.
So I think it's a totally obviously it's a legitimate question you've asked, but I think putting it in context here, it's going to take some time here. And I know I always kid you when you all ask me about, well, what about, are you going to get A done, B done, C done? Well, I say, you want to negotiate. I'm being a bit facetious, obviously, but here's the deal.
Well, yeah, because he never intends to answer their questions when he's like, well, you want to negotiate? Remember, this guy sells himself to the bidder.
This is going to end up, I believe, we're going to end up getting both the pieces of my economic legislation. The first piece, the 1.9, fundamentally changed the structure and the nature of the economy in this country. Even though, remember, it got clobbered. It was this terrible thing. No Republican voted for it. Well, we got real economic growth. Not sure how they get it, but
people who go into stores right now and just have got it without any high-risk situation or underneath that age limit. It happens around the country as we speak.
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see that in the near term, we're probably going to open this up anyway. They're constantly looking at, we're looking at both Moderna and J&J, and we're both, as I said in the speech. In addition to that, we're also looking to the time when we're going to be able to expand the booster shots basically across the board. So I would just say it'd be better to wait your turn in line, wait your turn.
So here, that's again, wait your turn.
You get if you file with a W-2 form.
This I found interesting.
The IRS has access to your bank account. And your bank tells you how much you made, what you have in there, and they estimate your tax. Well, if you have no income, if you have no earned income, and it's all investment income, it's hard to figure out what the heck you have, and that's why we have to.
Okay, again, he's talking about, if you're W-2, oh, well, it's easy because your bank just reports to the IRS how much money you have and how much income you have. However, you got unearned income. This is coming from a man, again, who owes $500,000 from his S-Corps, his speaking engagements, and his books. I know the speaking engagements, to my understanding, are not necessarily always considered. So he funneled $13 million into his S-Corp and only gained a salary of $800,000 and only paid the 3.8% self-employment tax on $800,000, not the $13 million. So again, we're talking about a man who's like, oh, you need to pay your fair share, and those people who have investment income are not paying their fair share. Again, that's not true because there are tons of ways where you can find yourself having unearned income coming in, and not always from investment or stocks or portfolios or businesses, dividends. Oh, there's a whole list.
And I know some people don't like this. That's why we have to rehire some IRS agents, and not to do anything, not to try to make people pay something they don't know. Just say, hey, step up and pay like everybody else does. Look.
Says the man who owes $500,000 in taxes for 2 years, $500,000 in taxes for 2 years. Step up and pay your fair share, sir. But no, because do you think the IRS is actually going to go after him or audit him? I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm gonna put that link for the video up at the end of this video that discusses how much money he actually owes when he's telling people, even here, oh, the rich need to pay their fair share. The rich and wealthy need to pay their fair share. But he doesn't, because he's special. Special Joe.
Look, I really mean this. And you look at my whole career, and I come from the corporate state of America. Is it you like?
There we go. That was it.
And you look at my whole career, and I come from the corporate state of America.
He comes from the corporate state of America, not the United States of America, the corporate state of America. He is a corporate shill, corporate official, as far as he's concerned, just by that statement alone.
I just think it's about just paying your fair share, for Lord's sake. Now, we can argue whether or not the corporate tax should go back up to 26.5% or 28 or 24, but the idea that 50 major corporations in America making a sum total of $40 billion pay zero?
But that's also because of the shutdowns. That's the way that that it's all set up, and putting out the middleman and shutting him out. Here he is talking about himself, his S corps, his companies, his corporations. Oh, but because they didn't make billions of dollars, he shouldn't have to pay his fair share because he's not Jeff Bezos.
Come on. It's just wrong.
It is
It's
wrong.
just not fair. And I think it's beginning to
And I agree, it's
sink
not
through
fair.
the ether a little bit here on the part of people. So I think there clearly is enough
Wonder where he's going with that one.
from a panoply of options to pay
Panoply.
for whatever it is that folks decide to pay for. And let me finish.
That folks decide to pay for. This is not you. This is Congress. This is the Senate deciding for you what you should pay for. Just like AOC tried to pass that bill that would stop funding to Israel. Thankfully, 420 to 9 shows, at least as far as the senators are aware, the American people do not want that to stop. Unless, of course, you're Muslim. Then, well, that explains everything. And I'm sorry, but our founding fathers, I think, would be high supporters of the state of Israel.
By answering the initial part of your question, if I may. The way I look at it is what I've been telling my colleagues, and it surprises them sometimes when we're in those rooms. And I don't know whether you heard, but both meetings went very well. I mean, it was the issue of the bipartisan deal on infrastructure. There were a lot of negotiations on that. And it wasn't until people were forced to look at, what are you for? Are you for taking care of that highway or bridge in your state or that region or your region? Are you for doing something about environmental degradation? Are you for something that deals with allowing us to provide for monies to states so that they can, in fact, deal with things like what happened in
No. Notice how he's stuck and he's stammering and da-da-da-da. Are you for? Well, I am not for paying California Gavin Newsom's brand new bill that he just recently passed of $227.2 billion, which he knows California can't pay. They increased taxes. California has it set up that if you lived in that state and have moved out, you still have to pay taxes for 10 years. That's the type of thing that's going on. And he just approved $227.2 billion spending package, which is what Biden right here is talking about funding in this $3.8 trillion bill that he's passing.
States where the major utility lines come down. What do you do to build those back better, to prevent that from happening? And
sometimes you just can't prevent natural disasters from happening. I know California would like to prevent the big one from happening, but I'm waiting for it. I was hoping that after 89, it would get one more big snap and fall in. My poor state. Not what it used to be. I've been more than I'll wave going, new beachfront property. You know, I used to tell a joke back in the 80s. What happens when you drop a nuclear warhead on LA and New York? You get urban renewal. Also get Democrats. But anyways, sure that was bad to say, but America, pay attention.
On what is a serious infrastructure proposal that really does a number of things, including things when people said, I don't want to do anything in the environment.
Well, then why don't we help develop Alaska? You know, we talk about doing nation building. Why don't we do nation building in Alaska? Oh, but no, we need to protect the environment there, even though it's got all those rare earth minerals, oil, gold, stuff that we want from other countries. But we just leave it there because develop that state, oh, well, we would destroy a national park. The entire state's pretty much a national park. You got to be kidding me.
Then they start thinking, well, wait a minute, I have all these diesel buses at home. It would be a hell of a lot better if we had electric buses. It would change the circumstance on boom, boom, boom.
Okay, and I don't know what he means by boom, boom, boom. But change the circumstances. Well, I know right here in Albuquerque, we have several lines that were set up to use exclusively brand new electric buses for the economy. I mean, we don't have enough buses for this size of this city anyway. They spent all this money on getting these electric buses, and they run for like an hour before they're out of power and need to be recharged. I've heard it was anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to recharge the bus fully so that it can be used again, because it's again purely electrical. Things are not constructed well. They're horrible. Oh man. Yeah, so I don't think he even knows what he's talking about, because cost is a major thing. Where's this money going to come? Oh, well, it'll be paid for by revenue.
So I think this is a process. That's why I said at the front end that although we got off to a very fast start with the first piece of legislation, I don't expect this to be done and us be in a position where we can look back and say, okay, did we get it?
Now, was that the legislation that also included the $5 million that went to Pakistan for transgender studies? Or was that money that didn't go into rebuilding roads and bridges, but made allowances for illegal immigrants to come into the receive funding and finances? That infrastructure? Yeah. Okay.
Done until basically the end of the year. I don't mean
he said 7 months
on the two pieces of legislation relating to the economy, but I think it's just going to take some time.
So now he's talking he needs a year for the other thing.
And look, we're
again, like I said, it was at first 7 months, and now it's, give me a year. It's going to take a year before we can get this stuff done.
And they're looking down the road, and they're looking at cost of living issues as well. And so what's the cost of living issues? Well, it's because we're in a position where the ability to have the
okay, we won't go to the simple product of cost of living issues comes from the fact that we've been shut down for what? Year now? So we've been shut down, production, no job, people aren't going back to their jobs because UBI that he pushed, which again, fundamentally, and he admits, fundamentally changed economics in America. And now he's saying, well, the cost of living is this. And this I get going, and I'm left stuck going, wait, this is like him saying that there's zero revenue. But where does America get its revenue from? Get it from war, and we get it from taxes. Treasure or taxes. So, since we just ended a war, as he continues to remind us there in Afghanistan, are we going into it? Well, there's China. Or he can raise taxes. So since he's claiming he's not going to raise taxes, that means we're going to war, people.
Product, the elements of the production of a product that in fact need to go into the production of that product are hard to get a hold of. Because people are in trouble. They're not able to produce them. They're not able to get it, or they're being hoarded.
Why? See, he doesn't mention the shutdowns at all. It's just, oh, well, we're having trouble getting things. There's supply line issues. There's shortages. Europe is having shortages with gasoline. We're having shortages with alcohol here. Invest in alcohol, by the way. I'd highly recommend it. Alcohol and Bitcoin. No, I'm not giving you official financial advice. I'm not giving you financial advice because you're not my client. So free advice is just that. Free. Invest in alcohol, invest in Bitcoin.
It's like, what we have with, and we're making progress, but like what we're doing with regard to making sure we have the computer chips to be able to keep, as in the vernacular, to keep, build automobiles.
What in the vernacular? You mean the automobiles is the vernacular? Oh boy.
I mean, I think everybody was kind of surprised when I think if I had said to you, I may be dead wrong, but if I had said to you in, say, April, that I was going to get all three major manufacturers of American automobiles saying they're going to go electric, I doubt whether you thought that could be done.
Actually, that's not true. They've been working on it for years. And actually, there is some argument about we had the ability and technology to build electric cars back in the 1970s, but the oil lobbyists prevented the car companies from being able to develop these things. I remember back in the 90s, Tesla was having so much trouble because the oil companies, the other car manufacturers that used gas continued to make it hard and difficult for Tesla, Elon Musk, for Tesla to be able to build their electric cars and the regulations that were needed and everything. Because again, if the motor vehicle companies at the time started producing electric cars, the oil companies would be losing massive amounts of money. Of course, now we're talking about converting to electricity when America is no longer energy independent again, like we had been just a year ago. So a lot of the conditions and problems that are currently in America, as you can hear from him himself, he admits are created by him and his policies. And he just wants you to give him time.
Well, we're out here in the back lawn. They've all of a sudden figured it out. They've had
All
a
of
bit
a
of an
sudden,
epiphany. And they realized, whoa, wait a minute, man.
Again, back in the 70s. Now, we're not going to get into how Ford's bragging about how they have a $130 million contract to build electric trucks for the U.S. government, the U.S. government Forestry Service. You're not supposed to know about that one yet.
China's investing billions of dollars. China is getting battery technology. We're going to build blah, blah. And this is going to happen anyway.
Uh-huh. I thought you said, and then China's going to eat our lunch. Huh? That's, well...
And again, I'll just conclude by saying this is a process. And it's going to be up and down. That's why I don't look at the poll.
This is where he gets into the polls, which is really good. I'm going to get into this. Notice he's closed his folder. He's pretty much off script, except for the voice in his ears. Or should I say the voices in his head?
Not a joke.
Not a joke.
Because it's going to go up and it's going to go down. It's going to go up.
So this is because just recently the IHO polls have come out and they show that not only is he lower than Barack Obama was, but Biden's current approval rating is lower than Trump's at his lowest point. You think his approval rating is going... He seems to think his approval rating is going to go up because he thinks he's doing good for you. Doing such things as handing down these vaccine mandates, the rent moratorium, all of this, the fundamentally changing economy, extending unemployment, adding to unemployment benefits. I give you news. Work was difficult, but I collect unemployment even myself. Yeah, nothing like universal basic income. Didn't work too well, did it? Can't even maintain something like that for people on disability and Social Security. Again, they're only getting a 1.3 increase. That's less than anything Trump ever gave people on Social Security. Okay? That's how much this man cares about you.
And hopefully at the end of the day, I'll be able to deliver on what I said I would do. One, bringing the country together on a few and very important things like on infrastructure.
But he's not bringing the country together on infrastructure. He's not bringing the country together in any way. As a matter of fact, I see more separation than before.
Infrastructure, getting us in a position where we can have some coherent policy relative to foreign policy where there's agreement, moving us in a position where we're able to actually generate the kind of change in the dynamic of how we grow the economy.
Again, he's talking about fundamentally changing America economy and how, down at the fundamental level. Oh, all you accountants, get ready to relearn your career.
Not eliminate the super wealthy, not at all, but allow the working class and the middle class to be able to build out and up. And that can be done. And
that can be done by becoming self-employed. Being self-employed, the opportunities to start your own business, to work for yourself, that self-reliance, that independence, that rugged and individualness that is that which is to be American. He continues, and the left and the people in the White House continue to try and stifle that within you, within us as a country, trying to take that away. Oh.
Like I said, every time I hear, and I drive my staff crazy, every time I hear this is going to cost A, B, C, or D, the truth is, based on the commitment that I made, it's going to cost nothing because we're going to raise the revenue.
That's what concerns me. And as I mentioned earlier, where does the U.S. government get its revenue from? It doesn't work. Don't work. Sit around and pass legislation. They're nothing more than a bunch of lawyers. So where does the U.S. government get its money from? Paying back loans? No. Receiving loans. Okay. Basically, America makes its money in two ways. As the government grows, it needs more money to support itself and its spending. Because remember, these are the same people that can vote themselves a raise. Everywhere else, I know you have to work for your raise, but these people can vote themselves into law a raise. So you think they really care about you? The American makes its revenue in two forms. By raising taxes or by going to war. Well, we just ended a war. So we have China getting all antsy, and he talks about how he's going to meet with our allies and go ahead and prepare for a war. And he's saying he's not going to raise taxes. So if he's not going to raise taxes, taxes are how America makes its revenue, by taxing the people, then we're going to war. His own words.
Raise the revenue to pay for the things we're talking about. And we're going to give, and right now, if you take a look at the reconciliation piece, $1 trillion of that is tax cuts.
Again, I usually don't know or hear often about how, well, we're going to cut the tax, but it's going to add to this spending. While we cut taxes, that results in an addition to spending. No. If you cut taxes, that means you have to cut spending. You have to cut the government's revenue. Oh, that's what a picture to get caught on. And again, where does America get its revenue from? Study history. There's only two ways any country makes revenue.
Not raising anybody's taxes, it's tax cuts.
So if he's giving the American people tax cuts, he's already telling the American people he plans to go to war, and most likely by the end of this year. Hold on to your butts, people. It's about to get fun.
We're going to be paying less taxes, but the people paying less taxes are going to be working class folks. It's going to put women back to work. It's going to put people in situations where.
What about putting men back to work as well? Just aiming to put women back to work.
They have as I know you're tired of hearing me saying, but my dad's constant refrain, just give people a little breathing room. A little breathing room.
Why doesn't he listen to his own dad's advice? When has he given any American right now a little breathing room? Zero tolerance for the unvaccinated. That is not breathing room. Mandates and orders and saying you can't get a job. That is not breathing room. That is more authoritarian dictatorship. There's no breathing room there. He's not giving us any breathing room. While he says, oh, my dad just said, well, listen to your dad then.
Thank you, guys.
Now, I'm going to leave it because of this last question that's asked.
President, how come you've never been to the border, Mr. President?
So, and the question, in case you didn't heard it, I'm pretty sure it'll come off nice and clear, was plain and simply, Mr. President, how come you have never been to the border? So with that, this is going to be this is going to turn out to be a much longer video than I ever intended. And for part of that, I do apologize. If you stuck with me this long, thank you very much. I hope that there's something in here that is a benefit to you, or at least something that is informational to you and informative of the information that is coming out of the White House, the fear-mongering, and for me, being, studying history and everything, when he's talking about this, if he's certain and really is going to stick by the whole, he's not going to raise taxes for the poor and middle class by what he's planning on doing, but he's planning on raising revenue, then that only means one other thing. That means that the American people are going to be going to war. So be ready for it, people. This is coming out of the White House itself. Thank you very much. Please like and share this video. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'd be more than happy to discuss any part of this video with anybody. And I hope that you have yourself a very beautiful day. Thank you.